afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Legends. And I'm Pam Jaccarino, the editor-in-chief of Lux Interiors and Design. This is my 6th year participating in Legends.
Hey, thank you.
We started at early days, and now look at this room full of people. And so for 5 years, I had a 9 a.m. call time or 10 a.m. call time. This year, finally, they gave me a 2 a.m. call. 2 p.m.? 2 p.m. 2 a.m. could be kind of fun to do a panel.
Right.
I don't know how many people would show up. But when Joe Lucas is on your panel and you have sort of like half-naked mermaids in your window, you sort of have to have a beverage before you start the panel. So Joe is going to pour
I started hours ago. There are like 600 people here from my view.
So we're having a little afternoon beverage. But anyway, the theme obviously this year is who is your muse? And I sort of pondered what would make sense for me and for our brand. And I really felt strongly that speaking about artisans and craftsmanship was something that was important. It's important to us at Lux Interiors and Design. And I really feel that artisans and craftspeople sort of provide the fuel for a lot of designers. And I'm happy to have the conversation here today with none other than LA's finest, Betsy Burnham. Welcome.
Thank you.
Joe Lucas and Molly Luke Meyer. So we're and you're going to see some of their work playing in the background as we have our discussion, and this is sort of some of their projects and some of the artisans that inspire them. So welcome, guys. Thanks for being here. How's the cocktail,
It's
Joe?
good.
Okay.
It's actually quite good.
Going down very
It's
fast.
refreshing. Okay. I got to get all my serious questions out early, I think. Anyway, artisanal, I think that artisans and artisanal techniques really are sort of making their way back. And the fact is that we do live in a time when, right, what are we doing? We're all sort of like just with our phones and swiping. And I don't really believe in trends, but I do have a theory that people are, a little bit more interested these days in things that are sort of, crafted by artisans. So my first question for you, and we can start with whoever wants to jump in, is sort of, how much in your work, and Joe, you've got your shop, but you guys are designers as well. How much does artisan and craftsmanship sort of, fall into your design work, and how important is it to you as designers to sort of look at that aspect when you're doing your design work, and also for your showroom?
I think it's a really important layer to everything. It gives every room, every project originality, personality, sort of grounds everything because it's organic.
How much time do you guys spend in sort of investing in sort of seeking out artisans? And I know it's so funny when we had this conversation, it's like, do we have to divulge our sources? That became a big issue.
I'm going to be the Brian Williams. I'm just going to lie about I'm giving false names. I've never been anywhere.
This is being
before.
videotaped.
Yeah.
It's going to live online forever. I just want to make that
Brian Williams will be terribly offended.
I'll be nice. I think I have found more and more artisans, obviously. The further you're in this business, with the showroom, that has helped immensely.
I'm sure.
Because I'm constantly sourcing vendors to have in there, and at Harbinger, my whole thing is I love to be surrounded by the things that I really like. So every vendor is, not just a vendor because I know it's going to bring in money. It's someone that I want to source and use in my projects as well as share with other people. So
sure. I mean, we were just in your showroom and sort of looking at, let's say, like Lance Woven, which is an amazing example. I felt as sort of this dedication to
and there are some pictures that will flow through of Lance Wovens that are incredible Italian leathers that is hand woven in Bangladesh, and you'll see some cool pictures, and it's all upholstery leather, woven leather, so it's sick. It's incredible. You have to come down and look at it. You have to look at it in the window of our new space. It's really the show. Sorry, I'm gonna pass out cards later. But
how about you, Betsy? How important is it for you to sort of, in your work? And we're going to talk a little bit later about sort of your whole vintage vibe.
Yeah. Well, it can be very important, and it can take a project in a direction that I didn't expect. we find some incredible handmade coffee table that's some organic slab of wood, all of a sudden that room looks very different than if we found, a new coffee table or a Parsons table. So I think, makers as Muse, you definitely follow that piece or that instinct or that moment, and it can make your room, that much better.
Well, I also think it's sort of like makers as possibility, because without the capacity of the people that we're working with, you can come up with, for instance,
they're imagining your dreams.
That fireplace that's in my, it'll cycle.
It'll come back.
No, don't worry, it'll come back through. But that's
and it's insane.
Plaster work that, I had this idea. I wanted to have this big snake crawling all over the fireplace. But if the person, this wonderful woman, Kaveri, saying, I'll give it up for Kaveri, if she couldn't do that, then we couldn't, you can imagine so much, but it's hard to implement something without someone who's got that capacity.
And I mean, I'm not sure if she's LA based. I feel like that's something that's really a blessing here in LA, that you have so many creative people and people that are like actually manufacturing and doing craft here. Yeah. And I think that that's not always the case in every single market. So I don't know if you I'll ask you, I mean, are you working with people mostly locally in terms of craft, or?
I have some good people that I work with in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Fine artists and craftsmen.
Another haven for
artisanship. So not necessarily. And the internet has brought everybody to us.
Yeah.
So live auctioneers and Etsy, and I'm always finding these little hidden gems. Just what art.
You never know where you're going to find it. I mean, we're using an artist back in Boston that ended up being like the stepmom of a girl I went to college with, and she wrote me on Facebook. She was like, "You should check out my stepmom's store." I was like, oh, "Okay," and ended up looking at it. She sent samples, and it's this incredible reverse glass, painted glass, Mise, and we're doing furniture for clients and for the showroom now. I was like, "Wow, okay."
Yeah, that is right. It's right. I mean, the internet sort of opened up the world, which is a great thing. I mean, you can support, and I think, artisanship also speaks to sort of sustainability. So I think, you can go local if you want to, or you could, really sort of find someone anywhere that can imagine your dreams. That's going to be pretty cool for all of you.
Yeah.
So, artists sort of are using so many skills. I really feel like it's. I hate to use the word trend. I hate talking about trends. But the fact is that, you've got, I mean, we see at Lux too, people all across the country. Some are blowing glass, and there's metalwork and macrame and carpentry. I'm just wondering if there's a particular craft or technique that you've recently discovered or rediscovered, right? Things come back. I remember a few years ago, I'm like, macrame is back.
That's mine. It's totally
back in a big way. Well, so I just wanted to ask you guys, what turns you on, and what have you rediscovered?
Well, I would say fiber art, because macrame is one piece of it. But you look at, I was at Art Basel a couple years ago, and Sheila Hicks that's all anybody was talking about. You'd go from booth to booth, and everything was interesting, but then when you get into that booth where it was this three-dimensional, dynamic, handmade, obviously they're all handmade in different ways, but there's this connection. It used to be such a, you'd think it's a stinky 70s.
60s, right,
ferns hanging out of it,
Yeah, dorm room.
Yeah, just so bad, awful.
Like dead fern.
Yeah. Sad fern. And now it feels so, it's very organic and it's very engaged, and I'm very interested in, you immediately go to the process. I'm always looking at it thinking, oh my God, how did they make that? And how could I make that? And of course I couldn't make that, but wanting to make something and thinking, it opens immediately this idea, oh, maybe I could work with someone. And tell me, is it Tanya? Give me her last name. Aguaniga.
Tanya Harding.
Yeah.
Why?
That's Tonya. Aguaniga, because I say it wrong every time. But there's a wonderful artist who works here, and you can, to work in concert with her to do commissioned pieces is amazing.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about manufacturers in our industry, and are they sort of adopting the notion of artisans as muse? I mean, I think it's challenging, quite frankly, for manufacturers. Particularly, we live in a world where everyone wants it yesterday, right? And I'm sure for manufacturers, it's a challenge to balance that. But you work with manufacturers all the time, and I'm curious to hear if you feel as though craft and artisanship is, important to them, and if you can give some examples.
I really do. We've spent a lot of time with the people at Lee Industries last year, and they started doing individual kilim covered ottomans.
Yes, I've seen that.
Like these Moroccan, and that's Lee Industries. I mean, they couldn't be farther from that, but they're definitely celebrating the idea of local and crafts, and I think that's a trend with manufacturers who are in the know. They're really, local's a really big buzzword.
Yeah, they're very engaged in sustainability at Lee.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of the vendors who had started off and had long lead times and really special product have gotten better about doing it faster. Like Urban Electric Company now has like a third of the website, I feel like, is in quick ship, like 4 to 6 weeks, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Because it is that kind of thing where sometimes you just don't have time to wait. Merida Carpets has a couple lines that they can make really fast, and they'll bang out a sample for you.
Well, and
in
they
like
encourage
2
you
days
to
and
do
have
custom too.
And
I mean,
custom
it's encouraged, it's celebrated.
Yes.
It's not a
And
it's
if
not
it's
a big
taking
deal.
the extra time,
Yeah.
then you will do it, because I was always the one who was like, ugh, I'm never going to do custom. I don't have the patience. I need immediate gratification.
Yeah.
Which is why we have.
No,
just
you're
in
not
case
supposed
we need, right. I'm just saying it's here if we need it.
You're not supposed to show
Look,
that.
booze is
That
my
was
muse.
Joe's request. Was that your request? You had a gun to my head for this
Booze
panel.
is- yes.
I'll only do your panel if I can BYOB.
Quick ship. Got it. But you can get really special things faster these days,
But
and
also-
it makes it so much more enjoyable.
In truth, it is, and it's great to have the fast, but it's also like to talk about Merida. We were just at this conference in Athens, and there was a wonderful presentation about what goes into making a rug.
Exactly.
And what the process is. And I think that the more that we can educate our clients and ourselves,
Yes.
the more that it's worth it, the value, to see that something. We're working on a project back east, and we're doing a pool table. We went to this incredible place out in New Jersey where they have all vintage pieces and they make custom pieces, and it's expensive to do, but the clients got to see the entire process and feel like they were investing in something that had, legs.
Yeah, I think that's very important, and hopefully, everyone's clients that are here, that are designers, that you're sort of informing them about process and craft, because I'm particularly interested in that. Right, we all see things when it's in the showroom, but it's really fascinating to sort of hear about the process, and it sort of brings me a little bit to my next question, which I would say, for me, I really think that artisan and craft is about storytelling. And we probably all agree that every room, every home, every showroom should sort of tell a story. And Betsy, I just want to direct this to you, because I think that so many of your projects are influenced by vintage furniture, vintage finds, and I think vintage also is about storytelling. I think craft is, when you come into a home, you have a vintage piece or something handmade, you get to people get excited. It's something they haven't seen before. So talk to us a little bit about vintage and why. I know that that's a little bit of your muse, so I want to hear from you
It's
about
definitely
that.
my muse. A vintage piece has some history to it. It does have a story. It has authenticity, and I think our clients, maybe they're not saying particularly, could you research some craftspeople for me, but they love when something's authentic or when it has a provenance, and certainly they love it when something is making their room their own. So nothing really does that more like a one-of-a-kind piece. And Max said to say that I'm an only child, so anything that no one else can have is very important to me, personally, as a designer.
So,
I love it.
youngest of 6, and I don't get anything.
Oh. So let's talk about, there's storytelling, and then there's also sort of, I feel like, we all travel a lot, and that's an aspect where you find out about artisans and craft. You two were in Greece. and you probably had a lot of fun there on your.
Maybe a little bit.
But I was curious if you were. I just wanted to ask if there was anything you saw there that was inspiring in terms of craft or artisanship that really excited you.
Yeah, we actually went to Istanbul for a couple days before too, and the combination of the two it was incredible. I mean, just being able to see. I think I was obsessed with the marble.
And Hagia
I wanted
Sophia.
to like lick everything.
Yeah, it was
which would
because
have been really gross, but the marble
really
was
good,
insane,
too.
but really good.
the not only the range of the marble, and especially in like the Hagia Sophia, which was
insane.
so breathtaking in its scale, and sort of I'd studied it in school, but it's not the same. You get in there and you're so overwhelmed.
So Joe, this next question is for you. As a shop owner, you curate artists, and share with us sort of like your summer artist in residence program and why that's important to you.
Yeah, I'm hoping to bring it back. David, my better half, and I had gone down also for the Leaders of Design Council conference last year down to Argentina, and we went over to Uruguay for a couple days, and we stayed at the Vic in Jose Ignacio, Punta del Este area, the Vic retreat, and every room in this resort, they have a different Uruguayan artist that does all the art, and I looked online, I was sort of hoping that we would get this one room that had these incredible paintings, and lo and behold, we happened to get it. I mean, maybe it was because there were enormous male nudes in the thing, so they knew to give it to me. But
it could have been the 15 emails.
Yes, or the 15 emails. Be like, dude,
put me in the room with the mail.
But we were so obsessed with this artist, and by the end of the trip, we ended up staying like an extra day because we loved the place so much. And by the end of the trip, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to email the guy and see if he would ever send some art over to, up to the States and everything. And it turns out he was in Buenos Aires the day that I was there. We met for like 15 minutes before he had to go back. And it was sort of kismet. And we talked, and he said, why don't I come up to Los Angeles for like a month, and I'll just paint there instead of sending things because it's so hard to ship out of the country. Wow. And so he was here for about 6 weeks last summer.
Oh, wow.
And painted a lot of some people here. He painted my friend Christos, and he painted me. It was very strange to sit for a portrait. I haven't been quiet for that long ever in one sitting. And we had a big art showing, and we still have some of his pieces there. And there's just something that was really special about it. It was a little different, and it felt like that gem that you found. That it's just very special, and I would love to do it again. He's already chomping at the bit to come back. He really liked LA. I think he liked his time, but
he asked if I'd sit in the nude.
Yes, he did. Oh, Molly sat with like her 14 dogs, and she was like, no. She had one dog on each boob.
I have 2 dogs. 2 dogs. I'm not that person. 2 dogs.
She's not. But it was a big painting. And it's beautiful. No, I mean, well, because of the dogs and the boobs. I don't mean...
Stop talking. Just stop talking. Just stop talking. No. Stop talking.
Oh, gosh. Betsy, tell me about... So Betsy Burnham is our cover star.
Yay!
Thank you. And you have like beautiful artwork in the home. I mean, how much does art? Because it's also a place where I think you can find something that's unique. I'm sure you all feel that way.
Oh,
so talk a little about
art is my favorite topic.
And that project, I'd love for you to talk about sort of a little bit of what was the muse for that, for the project.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, honestly, I think for that project, maybe color was the muse, which is why it was such a surprise when I saw it in Lux. I'm really, really happy about it.
Yeah, so are we.
Yeah, thank you. I think color was the muse, and my clients and I had a long-standing relationship, so it was sort of, they were sort of used to me and letting me, they let me kind of do whatever I wanted to do, and so it was a combination of interesting colors and contrasts and patterns and everything that I like to do.
Yeah,
really.
There was that one room that was like the all-American-esque room. That was such a great,
I love that. Yeah. I mean, that's craftsman stuff.
Yes.
I mean, folk art, near and dear to my heart. I love it. I love flags. I love anything Americana.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of vintage in that house, to be honest, a lot of vintage, just pieces that we've collected over the years and that we found specifically for this new house.
Yeah. So I have a question for each of you. We actually have some fun. Gosh, you guys have to drink up for our sort of final episode here. But which artisan would you love to collaborate with on a project, and sort of what would be your dream project?
Oh, I know.
Go first.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I know. I'd love it to be Matisse, and I'd like to, through a time-space continuum, work with him on a boutique hotel.
Oh, okay.
And I really love murals. I tend to try and incorporate them into a lot of my projects. I just feel like
You've got that cool mural
In her
here,
dining room.
and there's like I think
Oh,
there's the
right.
blue.
oh yeah. There's
that
one
also, yeah.
That's
She did it in
Black
our window.
Rose.
She did one in our window last year for Legends too. It was an incredible
Okay.
mural.
But there's something. I mean, what's more grand than taking the whole space and just treating the entire thing? And I went to the cutout show this winter,
it was
and
amazing.
lost my heart to him again. And I just think like what a dream it would be to get to make custom everything and cut things out and go through that process and work with the entire space as a blank slate, so that you could do ceramics or you could make rugs, you could do,
Okay.
So if you could make that happen,
Matisse,
That would
I'll
be
get on the horn with Henry.
yeah, get on the phone.
How about you, Joe?
No, it's really hard to pick. I don't know if I could pick one. I've been having so much fun finding lots of like little new artists that I've been working with that I think I just like the mix of it.
Let me ask one more question, which we always ask at Lux, because Lux is about, right? We're dedicated to sort of luxury design, and I really feel that everyone has sort of a personal definition of what luxury means to them. So I'm curious to hear, before we get into our sort of fun questions. I feel like you guys might all have to have a drink before that.
I bid for the other stuff. I mean, luxury to me, for me, it's comfort, and it doesn't have to be crazy fancy, but I think, like we just bought a new home, and it's not fancy and it's not big, but it's like finally there's something that's ours, and we're like building it and growing and changing it, and that to me, like I finally feel like it's a home after living here for 18 years and renting and stuff. Like that is luxurious to me. Just to be like, oh my God, everything that I keep doing here is finally for us, and not me wasting my money on some landlord's home.
It sometimes becomes something that's just very personal, right? It's not really that. It's interesting that it's not often about a material, right?
It's not. It's just something that like waking up every morning and like going and seeing the sun rising out my dining room, that all of a sudden we have this incredible view, like that is luxury to me. I'm like, it makes waking up tired so much better.
How about you, Betsy?
I think it's my definition is sort of similar to yours. I think it's sort of an equation, right? Time is luxurious. Quality is a big one for me. Do it right. Just save up and do it right. And comfort. It's like an equation of things that creates luxury.
Yeah.
But comfort is really in there.
So
because why should anything be so fussy that you don't want to use it or enjoy it? Or all of us decorate for real people too. I mean, I think that's something we all have in common. So.
And you want to love your home and feel like you can't, right? That's your personal space, and you're sort of like your cocoon, right? How about you, Molly? What's
Well,
luxury
mine is a
mean
little
to you?
bit off the design topic, but I promise I'll bring it right back and be very funny.
That's okay.
But,
you can deviate.
But I think that it's a luxury that we live where we live and have what we have. So I think that it's a luxury. We already are full of luxury, and that we just have to appreciate that and remember that.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's this weird striving that everybody gets caught up in for what's the newest, what's the most luxurious, the most expensive, the most this, the most that, and not to bring the room down, but we all are so lucky because we are the 1%ers, and just to remember that we live in luxury every single
and we're
day.
surrounded by, I think that those of us that are involved in design are surrounded by, beautiful things, interesting people that are doing creative things. And as you say, I mean, sometimes we're just, we're so stuck, we're stuck like this.
Yeah.
On to the next email or the next issue, which is a reality factor.
Right.
But it is sometimes, right, sometimes important to just like
Just
smack
remember
yourself.
that we're
Yeah.
how fortunate we are, and that
Yeah.
it is a luxury
Yeah.
that we have everything that we already have.
Yeah. So, so I know we're gonna have time for a little bit of Q&A. We're gonna have some Q&A, but I sort of started this tradition with Paul Wiseman from San Francisco, one of the best in the industry, I would say. And I did a panel with him in January, and they said, let's do sort of an inside the actor's studio, right? That James Lipton, I think is his name, sort of way that we'll end the panel, and it was great. And then I did the same thing with Mary McDonald, and we had so much fun. So this is sort of like becoming a signature. And so
You're far more attractive than James Lipton.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so I don't know. You might want to. All right. So here we go. You want to go 1, 2, 3.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it that way. Okay. We're just 1, 2, 3. Okay. Molly? What is your favorite word?
Marvelous.
You can't think too much. It's just got to be
Yes.
a gut check.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one.
Crispy.
Crispy.
That's a good one.
Wow. Okay.
That's a good one.
This is great. This is a great thing to play. Okay. What is your least favorite word?
Are we all going to say the same one?
Don't say it. Moist.
Moist.
Oh, I've got another. I've got a design one.
Go ahead.
Transitional.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Can we just extinguish that word from the design vocabulary?
Thank
and
you.
pop of color.
Okay. As they rewrite the design encyclopedia in today. Okay. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Enthusiasm.
Okay.
Laughter.
Color.
Yeah. I feel so game show hosted,
I
I have to say. I've only introduced this like one-on-one, but it's very game show hosted.
The password is.
What turns you off?
Small-mindedness.
And negativity.
Laziness.
Oh, good answer. Okay, here we go. What is your favorite curse word?
Motherfucker.
I was going simple with just fuck. And all the iterations.
The video
Sorry.
on this, you
Earplugs.
know we're never going to be invited back to
Earmuffs.
Legends. Sorry. It's not PG. Sorry.
I don't have one.
What?
I'm not a big. Have you heard me swear lately?
Never. That's why I always
You're
have
such
to
a
do
lady.
it for you.
Am I a lady?
Yeah.
Thank you for doing it for me.
Motherfucker, you should swear more.
No, but when I do it, it means something,
Yes.
right? So, but I don't have a favorite.
Okay, Molly, what sound or noise do you love?
My dog snoring.
Oh,
Stole mine. Mine was my dog stretching in the morning.
it's all done.
Ew.
Sorry.
Just be split up.
We should buy.
I'll go with dogs.
Yeah. Dog. That's bingo.
I'll go with dogs.
Bingo.
For 100.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Ugh, people chewing with their mouth open.
Oh, me too.
That's a good one.
I forgot.
There's a name for it.
Lucas
I
is
have
like,
it
disgusting.
too. No, I haven't. If you're in a room with someone and they're crunching or chewing, I'm starting to have
crispy.
that now.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's
I
disgusting.
cannot tolerate it.
Mine is the sound of display wings in showrooms. Clankety, 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 clank. Kills me.
like a nail.
That's why
on
we
a
only.
chalkboard.
When I finally had to add them as wallpaper panels, it literally was the worst decision. It's the only ones I have.
Because
Like, clank, clank,
you
clank,
hear
clank,
it all
clank.
the time now.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Okay, 3 more questions, and then we're going to open it up to you. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I'd like to be a therapist.
You are a therapist.
You already
You're
are.
my therapist.
Yep, you should start paying me.
I am. That's not going to happen.
Lucas, I can't wait to hear.
I
Juggler.
don't know. I've done it all. Juggler.
already doing
I'm
that.
juggling too much. I would love to be able to play the piano without having to learn how to play the piano or the guitar. But no, I don't want to.
Just
want to
wake up one day and you're like a concert pianist. That's good.
Yeah.
I definitely work in the fashion business.
Okay.
No
You already
question.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
you already
question.
All right. Last question. I'm going to edit one out. If heaven exists, Molly, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Come on in and take a load off.
That was pretty fucking fun, wasn't it? Sorry.
Wait, you said earlier that we're going to have to get like bleeped alive.
Yeah,
Bleeped.
God, I don't have one. I don't have an answer to that question.
How
Honestly,
about come on in and we need someone to redecorate the place?
Maybe just, you didn't have to worry so much.
Yeah.
You should have sworn more. That's what it's
Yeah.
We're sending you to hell.
She just said shit, Joe.
You're going to break her down.
No problem.
What the
Oh my gosh, does anyone have any other questions for our panelists? I hope that this isn't a shy group. Raise your hand. Yes.
Okay, the term luxury seems really is there a better, since you're working on words, is there a better term to, respond to a client that really, they're looking for bespoke or they're looking for that next tier of custom? What vocabulary do you use?
I think you just did.
Yeah.
I think being
bespoke is a
specific.
beautiful word.
Yeah.
Bespoke's always a good one.
Bespoke is always good, and also you did it. Sorry, you answered your own question. It's good.
Who else has a question for the panel? Yes, Janice Brown, our group publisher.
Well, I use that word transitional a lot, so now I feel really bad. Vocabulary. Can you give me a better word?
What we need a replacement word. Oh, sorry, we have a mic. So, Janice, re-ask your question, please, so everyone can hear.
What I was saying is I use the word transitional a lot, and sticking with the vocabulary question, I'd like to present to the panel members. Give me a better word.
We need a better word for transitional.
Why not be creative and say East Coast meets 60s glam, or, Malibu preppy, or, transition. It's like
But it's also, I think
people want to say, how do you go from contemporary to adding all the bespoke and artisans into the room and the mid-century modern and we see that whole trend happening so well. So
Call it a high-low.
Why can't it just be
Call
pretty?
it
Pretty,
right.
If you're doing it right,
It
then it's
sounds
just going to
like
be pretty and it's going to be
house, like,
right.
It just doesn't have a good.
well, personal and specific. It's,
Right.
It's a personal home because you've got the things that work for you in the home. I think that we all get very attached to labels. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, it's contemporary," and I go, "What's that mean?"
Right. Correct. That's an
Well, it
overused.
means
That's a
modern,
modern
contemporary.
contemporary.
It means
If you
something
think
different to
about it.
everybody.
Well, that's right.
You really need
Yeah.
to see the visual to see what you think is contemporary.
Yes.
What I think is. I mean, it could be two completely different.
And that's why I really agree with Betsy that I think that the more evocative you can be with your description, the more that it really does flesh out what it is you're talking about, as opposed to it's the way that we all speak. We speak in bland, it's amazing. I mean, everything isn't amazing,
Yeah.
but we all use that word. Oh, it's amazing.
Layered.
And so when you can say, if you say, well, can you use a different word? We have to work with our clients all the time because they say, well, I want it to be warm. And I say, okay, what does that mean to you?
There's all those words: warm, unique, contemporary, modern.
Yeah.
We're banishing them all from the magazine.
Well, just so that they all.
All the editors in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also you want to be descriptive because what we're discussing today is artisanship, craft, something that is that tells a story. And if you use sort of a one-note word, it's not really storytelling that much. Anyway, who else has a question? We have such a large group. I'm sure there's more questions. Yes. And they're going to bring a mic around so everyone can hear.
pretty good.
So when
I'm
you,
not either.
sorry.
Hi.
Hardly any out.
Oh, wait, she's ready. She has her.
Okay.
When you are working with artisans, do you think the artisans should bring their own creative ideas, or do you prefer to have your ideas and they execute your ideas? Which way do you prefer?
I think if they bring it, sometimes we're not always right all the time. So I absolutely go and be like, first of all, tell me what you can do and show me, because I have something in mind, but I might go in and have no clue. I mean, I have one of my furniture makers can do so much more than I thought that they could do. I mean, it was amazing. I was like, can you do this? And I thought it was like the most brilliant idea. And it was like, yeah, but we can also do this. And like pulled out a sample. I was like,
and I'm sure it should be a dialogue and an
collaboration.
exchange of ideas.
I don't think we'd be seeking out these individual artisans if we were just going to use them to facilitate something that we had in mind. I mean, that's a different subcontractor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
That's so
an
important to mix it because they're going to teach you something. Hopefully we're going to teach them something.
Yeah.
And you come up with something completely new because they might just show you something that they've already done once, and then it wouldn't be special for you too. So when you get the two minds together, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hello.
Hey.
I just heard there was going to be a microphone, so I thought I'd take it.
Sing us something, Dill.
Hi, you guys. Thank you so much. This is really smart and funny and fun. My question is about, I know we're talking about aesthetics and we're talking about visuals and craft. How about experience and how you think that plays in and how that plays into story and the end user's experience?
Experience in which way? For the client, like what our experience brings to the client, or
like how you try to create an experience for the end user and how that plays into the story and the craftsmanship and the artisan and just how you think about experience versus just visual and sort of where something comes from.
I mean, I would say the experience goes back to the comfort. I mean, I always want my clients to be very comfortable in their home and not feel like they have to redecorate in 5 years. I know it hurts us, but the whole thing is I want you guys to live here and love everything that's here, and that is the experience, and not feel like you're just getting like a pretty table pushed on you because I think it's really pretty there. I want them to know that there's going back to the story of that table, and that feels like they have collected these pieces over time, and to look like it's them, to reflect them.
Yeah.
And if the home reflects the client, then their guests and their family and friends are going to experience what their life is too.
But the client on the best possible day.
Yeah.
With so that's why they're bringing us in, is to make their vision come to life, or we help them with the vision often, come to life. And then it looks better than they could have imagined, but it's all based on the decisions that they've made. So they're creating the experience. They're part of the end result.
Any other questions? Yes, I think they're going to bring the mic over to you.
Hi.
Hi.
So how do you guys go about finding artisans and craftsmen that you work with? Do they seek you out? Do you sort of go online and kind of do the research? I mean, obviously it'll depend on any one project, but I mean, is there I guess like any specific methodology that you go about and search for?
I mean, it's all of the above, but I can't even remember. I've been working with this fine artist, Elizabeth Huey, this whole past year, and she's really terrific, and I can't remember where I found her, but it must have been a blog or something I read online, and I just sort of cold wrote her an email, and I said, hey, do you want to participate in this show house I'm doing? And it just started this whole dialogue and relationship, and I really liked her work, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's just one story, but for every artisan, there's a different find, there's a different background story, right? I mean, you've got yours
with
going
the
to
show
South
with the
America.
showroom. I tend to get a lot of people coming to me, which is great. It's less work for me, which is amazing. A lot of mine have been friends of friends.
That's
great
true too.
artist Brian Gannett that we have makes these incredible laser cut antique book covered trays, and more than just the trays. And he was a friend of a friend in the design business. Alex Mason's beautiful art that we have is a good friend that I've had forever. So, and then they have friends and they have friends. It's like, the
And
shampoo
so on,
and
and
so
so
on,
on.
and so on.
That's right. He tells two friends.
Connections. We have time for maybe 2 more questions. Kara Gibbs, this amazing style editor for Lux Interiors and Design magazine. What is your question?
Hey, no pressure.
My question is,
Do you guys find that your own homes become like a reflection of a lot of the artisans that you work with? Like, are you constantly like putting them in your own house and what does it look like?
Of course.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you know that issue that's called Designers Own Homes, whatever magazine it is. It's always the best one, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no client. We're doing what we love to do, and we're collecting all the time.
And it's out of the box. It's such a lab. I mean, my place never looks the same from week to week. I mean, it's constantly changing.
Everything's inventory. Everything's inventory in my house. No, I mean, we just added so much stuff, and trust me, I'm like, there's a lot of Harbinger vendors in there. My beautiful Merida rug, my beautiful Moore & Giles leather sofa, my beautiful Holland and Sherry fabric. I mean, when you're surrounded by all this great stuff that you love, why would you not want it around you at all times? And you get to pick, you've seen it all, so you get to pick and choose your favorite things. And then, you know, if you get bored with them, you switch them out and or, you know, do a different one. Do something different.
Showroom.
Your house is your showroom.
Your house is your showroom. That's great. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. And to our panelists, thanks you guys. It was fun.
Thank you.